Hey everyone, I'm Pine, and this is my Mathamancy video about Vex, which is a Strife hero. And I want to know how can I build my Vex perfectly in the late game. I have a base build, and based on that base build, I did some math and want to present the results here, basically. So what is this? There are a lot of numbers. We have multiple columns, rows for multiple stats, and we have multiple columns for multiple situations or items. So the first column is the base stats on level 15. So if Vex is on level 15, he has 100 power without items, obviously, because that's a base value, 91.5 attack damage, 0.9 attack speed, which calculates into 82.3 point DPS per damage per second due to auto attacks. His Q deals 200 damage. His W deals 280 damage to each target. So times 3 basically if you want to calculate the full damage. That's something else. And now I have 4 criteria I want to calculate. It's funny, I used my hand to explain and you can't see my hand. Doesn't matter. So the first one is damage to one single target over 3 seconds. So what that is the DPS multiplied by 3 because of 3 seconds. The damage of the Q because we put out the Q once. And the damage of W divided by 3, like as this cell, halved, because in a team fight we hit only 1 with the rockets. We don't get 3 rockets on one target. We hit everyone only with 1 rocket. So we take this value once and halve it because the duration of the skill is 6 seconds and not 3 seconds. So that's the formula for that. So that's damage over 3 seconds to 1 target. Then additional to that, we deal AoE damage to 2 other targets, which is the damage of the W multiplied by 2 because we have 2 targets and divided by 2 because it's half the time, half the duration. So then we have the same stuff for 6 seconds. So single target to 6 seconds, single target damage over 6 seconds, and additional AoE damage over 6 seconds. Okay, so then I put in my base build. My first item is a healing rod, crafted with the power shard. So we get 6 power out of that, which changed these values a little bit. But not by much. The healing does not affect its stats, so only 6 power will increase the damage by 6% more or less overall. Actually, exactly 6%. So afterwards I got the Shiv. What's the full name of that thing? I don't know, the Shiv. Whatever the name is. Crafted with full power again. Which means we got 35.6 power. Additional to that, because we have the base stat plus 3 power shards, which each give 6, is 18, plus the addition of the Shiv if we are on full hit points is 35.6. So this increases the power even more. So next is Dragon Shield, crafted with the mana crystal and 1 power shard, so another 6 power. So until here it's pretty simple, we just add power and the rest just calculates differently, or calculates the same but adds up to higher numbers. The next item in my build is Hexbane. By the way, this is my base build. I was sure I will want to build this. Why will I explain in another video where I do a video guide on Vex. I think these items are really good base for Vex, and I want to build them. So my Hexbane is not crafted. This is default components, because the default components of the Hexbane are really good, and I want to craft another item, which I buy afterwards. So I decided to go for the default components for the Hexbane, which is a mana crystal, a mana regeneration thingy, and I think another power shard. No, it's actually a power stone or whatever it's called, a medium-sized one, which gives 16 power. So we have another 16 power here. So until here it's pretty simple. We only add power. Doesn't change anything else. So we only power. So this is the base build. So this is, because this is bold, this is the baseline. We have to compare every item we buy now with this baseline. So the first item which I looked at was Inferno Brand, because I've had the feeling if Inferno Brand might be really, really good, because we are in the middle of trouble, and Inferno Brand deals a lot of damage right now. It seems to be a little bit OP. So yeah, I checked the Inferno Brand. So I put down, I have one more slot for crafted items, so I decided these items will be crafted, most of them full power. So let's craft the Inferno Brand with full power. This cost us 4,625, gives us 43 power, so increase our power by a lot. And in addition to that, the item will deal 30 multiplied with power, which means 68.18 damage per second to everyone around you. I was thinking, okay, in average, this should be like 3-person hitting. So it goes once into this one, into the single target damage. You can see this is the G9, this is this one. So it goes once in here, and it goes 2 times in the AoE. Actually, yeah, it goes 2 times the AoE, that's the 2. And it does that for 3 seconds in both cases. So it's multiplied by 3 because it's 3 seconds, and in this case there's a multiplied by 2 because you hit 2 other targets. So same goal is for that, just it's 6 seconds and 6 seconds. So this deals a lot of damage. So what is this row now, or these rows? That's value per gold. So what I did is I took the damage of that, I took this damage, subtracted the damage of the baseline, which is this one. Can you see the mouse by the way? Yeah, you should. And divided it by the gold costs. So I get 0.1 damage per gold I spend in this category, single target 3 seconds. And 0.11, 0.18, 0.23. This gets bigger obviously because it's more damage over time. It's more damage because it's more time. So these 2 values should be bigger than these 2. Okay, so Inferno Brand looks pretty good. And I was actually right. I decided for Inferno Brand. But let me show some other items that are quite interesting. Like, for example, the Pyro Staff. Pyro Staff is more or less the second best choice, while concurring with the Diadem. The Diadem Pyro Staff full crafted with full power. Always craft with full power, if I don't say anything else. Costs 3,000 and gives us 28 power, which is quite decent. And in addition to that, it gives us a nuke which deals 220 multiplied with power, which means 421.52 damage to one target. So I just added that in the single target here and in the single target here, which results in a pretty good value per gold ratio in the single target over 3 seconds, which is 0.2. No other item has that. Not even close, actually. The next best one would be the Mystic Dagger with 0.15. So single target damage Pyro Staff for 3 seconds is really good. However, after 6 seconds, the value gets worse because obviously Pyro Staff only deals the damage once, while the Inferno Brand burns over time, and the Inferno Brand gives more power, which means more damage from our swarm rockets. No, not swarm rockets. No, the W skill. Swarm rockets are the other one, the Q. And so in the 6th damage department, the Inferno Brand catches up a little bit, while it totally loses in the 3-second department. However, in the 6 seconds department, it's still worse than the Pyro Staff. However, the Inferno Brand gives way more value in the AoE department. Like, this is almost 4th the value, and this is more than 4th the value. So yeah, in AoE, Inferno Brand is godlike. So basically, Pyro Staff would be a good pick if you really want to nuke one enemy down. However, we have a Hexbane in that build, and it is probably not necessary to nuke someone totally down in a few seconds. It's not necessary because we have Hexbane. And I feel like Inferno Brand is better in most cases. There are situations where the Pyro Staff would be better. However, the problem is we can only craft one more item. We cannot craft a Pyro Staff and an Inferno Brand and bring both with us. And you could ask now, what's with the Pyro Staff with the default items? Yeah, they suck. They give tons of mana and only a bunch of power. And then the Pyro Staff totally loses. So don't even consider that. So we have to decide, and in most cases Inferno Brand, I feel, is way better than Pyro Staff. So I will probably go for Inferno Brand, but let's take a look at the other items. So I was thinking, okay, if we have tons of power, right? Power scales with attack damage. So if we increase our attack DPS, oh, by the way, I forgot to explain that. In the single target damage, I just took the attack DPS and multiplied it with the seconds, which is wrong. It overvalues the DPS because you will not constantly shoot in these 3 seconds. But it doesn't too much because what I explain now. I was thinking increasing my attack damage and my attack speed could increase my overall DPS by a lot because I have a lot of power, because this stuff multiplies, so it synergizes better if every factor in there grows and not only one, which is power. Now it's better if everything grows. Attack speed, attack damage, everything, not everyone. Everybody grows. Nope. So I was thinking, yeah, let's take an attack damage or attack speed item. And yeah, I did that. I took the Wound Splitter and crafted it with full power and with full attack speed. I did the same thing for the Demon Fang. However, the results are quite bad. So I increased the damage because it gives base attack damage and it gives the crit chance, which I just multiplied in there. However, it did not increase attack speed because I crafted with full power. So it gives 49 power, which is quite a lot. However, this thing is expensive as hell. And while we increase our attack DPS by, yeah, a lot, this does not change our single target DPS by too much in comparison to Inferno Brand or Pyro Staff. And obviously it does not help in AoE at all. So our value in single target is not terrible with the Wound Splitter on power. It's not bad, but we totally lose in AoE. And yeah, here's the same. We're just worse than the Inferno Brand in every category. And we are only a little bit worse in single target, but we are really, really way worse in AoE. So no point in building a Wound Splitter craft with power over an Inferno Brand craft with power. No reason. So maybe with attack speed. Attack speed increases our attack speed by a lot. I hope this formula is right. I actually could not find any proof of that. This is the formula which is used in League of Legends. And I experimented a little bit, and it feels, you cannot look at your attack speed in the game, which is quite silly, but it felt like it could be right. So I think this is the correct formula. I'm not 100% on that, but I think it's the correct one. So with the attack speed build, we increase our attack DPS by even more, obviously. We now have more than double the attack DPS than with the baseline, which is quite impressive. However, and yeah, that helps us with our single target DPS over 3 seconds. It's now the same as the Inferno Brand, which is good. However, we have no AoE damage at all because we did not increase our power, so our AoE did not go up. Our AoE is still the same as with the Hexbane, which is 458.08 in 3 seconds. So we don't get any value there. And our single target damage in 6 seconds is a little bit better than Inferno Brand, but not by much. And yeah, our E still O. So you could somehow argue Wound Splitter might be better than Inferno Brand, but if you want to go for single target damage, you would pick the Pyro Staff, because this one is way better than everything what the Wound Splitter can offer. It's better in every category. So if you want to go single target damage, you would go Pyro Staff instead of Wound Splitter. However, you don't want to go for Pyro Staff because the reasons I explained earlier. You could argue, okay, we don't have a Pyro Staff crafted because we crafted Inferno Brand, because we plan to go in Inferno Brand. But you now really need really bad the single target damage instead of the AoE damage. You could argue take a Wound Splitter. Oh, it's misspelled, by the way. You could argue take the Wound Splitter because the default items are not terrible. It's a mix of power and attack speed. So if you really need this single target damage really badly, you could take the Wound Splitter with the default components. But I think there are not a lot of circumstances where you want to do that. And it's probably still worse than the default Pyro Staff. I should actually calculate that. That would be interesting. I will do that after the video and write in the description or take an annotation if what's better if you compare the default Pyro Staff and the default Wound Splitter. But I think the Pyro Staff still wins because we have something similar down here. I will add that though. So Demon Fang, same idea. It's attack damage item. We can build it with power or with attack speed. However, the results are just worse than the Wound Splitter in any aspect. as you can see here, the numbers are just worse. Well, you have more, what's that, single target damage over 6 seconds. If you build it with attack speed, then over, no, actually not. If you build it with attack speed, it's worse than the attack speed wound splitter, and yeah, so never go Demon Fang, basically, in this situation. If you have another build, these numbers are wrong, obviously, but with this build. So, Felblade, I just put it in there because it gives a lot of power for really, really few gold. And actually, it did not have terrible stats. It has a pretty good value in the single target. It lags a little bit in the AoE. Its single target is better than the Inferno Brand again. And the AoE is worse than the Inferno Brand, but way better than the Wound Splitter, than the Pyro Staff, for example. So, it's not terrible, but it doesn't win against the Inferno Brand. And it doesn't win against the Pyro Staff either, I think, because Pyro Staff is just too good in single target. So, Mystic Dagger was a little bit tricky one, because I have to think how often. Mystic Dagger is that one. If you use the skill, your next attack deals 55 more damage, multiplied by power. So, I had to estimate how often can you use that. I came to the conclusion that in a good situation, you might be able to trigger it twice in the first 3 seconds and a third time in the next 3 seconds. So I calculate the base damage, 55 multiplied by power here, and put it 2 times in the single target for 3 seconds, 2 times more, multiplied and 9, and 1 time in the 6 seconds. However, the results are pretty disappointing. It's a decent single target damage, but it's worse than a Pyro Staff in every aspect. So, nope. Grimoire, similar. Other little bit more complicated mathematics here because you have to calculate how much you get from the magic armor penetration. I just assumed that the enemy has 25 magic armor, which is the base value if you don't buy any items for most carries. At least for Rook. I checked Rook and I checked Vex, and they had both 25 or level 15. And damn it. Sorry. And I calculated some stuff here. This formula is a little bit hard to explain, but it's basically the damage reduction with the Grimoire, or the damage you deal with the Grimoire divided by the damage you deal without the Grimoire, and the other way around is the reduction. The reduction with the Grimoire, the reduction without the Grimoire, and it results in 8% more damage overall. Which sounds good on paper, but if you check the value, it's not great in comparison to the Inferno Brand, so nope, it loses. Power Conduit, since the patch, bad news, it sucks. If you don't need the passive with the mana regen stuff, it sucks. It might be decent if you have a legendary bonus, but I did not count it down because, yeah, that's luxury. You could recalculate it with the legendary bonus, but it's probably still terrible. So yeah, the values are not good at all, so you don't want that. Diadem was a surprise. Diadem was really, really, really decent. Okay, I crafted a Diadem with full power, which costs 3,200, and it gives power. Sorry, here's this graphical bug again. Let me do this really quick. Okay, it's gone. Good. It gives base power, which is 28, because the components. So I have power in. You have 28 power from components because I crafted it with full power, or I did not, but in theory, you know what I mean. And you get another 40.59 power with this build due to the mana thing. You get power per mana. You get 5.5% of your mana converted to power. And due to the fact that we have a mana crystal in our Hexbane because it's default component, and we have a mana crystal in our Dwelling Shield because I crafted it that way because I think I need that much mana, and we have decent starting mana pool, this results in a really, really decent amount of power for a decent or for okayish price of 3,200 gold, which results in pretty good values. We have 1.83 value per gold in the single damage over 3 seconds, single target over 3 seconds section, which is better than Inferno Brand. We have, however, we lack in AoE a little bit, obviously, because Inferno Brand is just king of AoE because of the passive. But the values are not bad. It's better than in single target than both of them. However, it's worse than in Pyro Staff. So it's not that great, right? It's not much worse. Well, in this area it is a little bit, but in this area it's pretty close, over 6 seconds. But it's not a terrible item, as you can see here. This will be more interesting after the next item, though. So I decided, after I took a look at all these items, I decided, okay, Inferno Brand is just almost every time better. Pyro Staff can be better if I need single target damage, but I can only craft one of them, so I go for Inferno Brand. So my default build now is Healing Rod, Shiv, Dragon Shield, Hexband, Inferno Brand, and some Spring Boots somewhere, which don't bother the power values at all, so I don't care for this math stuff here. So let's go down here. This is basically this one. So we have these items plus the Inferno Brand. And now this is our new baseline. And I want to see what's a good 6th item. What can I build afterwards if I have the Inferno Brand, if the game goes so long? And my first thinking was, probably Pyro Staff, because Pyro Staff was pretty decent over here. But then I thought, oh wait, I cannot get another crafted item in here. So I have to take default components. So all these items are calculated with default components. Pyro Staff has pretty shitty default components. Power, mana, and mana regen, I think, or power and no, it's power, mana. But the mana is kind of wasted. It's not totally terrible, but it's not that great. And however, the stats are okay. You get 16 power due to the components, and you get this really strong nuke of 489 damage, or almost 490. And this results in decent values here. 0.2 value is actually the same values as here. So these values are okay. Obviously not good in AoE, but in everything else it's good. So then I thought, okay, let's take a look at other items. What's with the Fell Blade? It had a good value per gold over here, or power per gold ratio in this build. The default component is actually the same as the one I wanted to craft, power. So what's that? And oh yeah, Fell Blade is really good. Fell Blade is worse than as Pyro Staff in a 3-second single target, obviously, because Pyro Staff beats everything in that category. However, I have 3 times the AoE damage because the power per gold ratio is way better. And you have to keep in mind, every point in power I get now increases my W and increases the damage of my Inferno Brand, which I already have. So every point in power will here, for these items, will increase the AoE by the AoE value by a good amount. So yeah, 3 times the value per gold in the AoE single target. Even more in 6 seconds, not single target, 3 seconds. AoE 3 seconds, even more in 6 seconds. And actually, the value per gold for 6 seconds single target is not much worse than the one from the Pyro Staff. So I was thinking Fell Blade is better than Pyro Staff here, interesting. But then you have to keep in mind, it's your 6th item. So if you buy that, your inventory is full. If you want to buy something else, you have to sell something or buy these, what are they called? These things that give you stats, but they have terrible value gold ratios. So you want to try to avoid that. You probably, if you have your 6th item, you probably start selling the healing rod or something for something better. So that costs value, obviously. So the question in this situation is, so you have 5 items, you have the Inferno Brand. The question now is, how much longer does this game goes? Is it over in the next 1 or 2 minutes? Grab a Fell Blade. Seriously, do it. It just gives really good value for cheap money. However, if you think this game goes a few more minutes, like 5 minutes or more, probably a Pyro Staff is a better choice, just because it costs more and gives decent value for that. You have to think about that, and you have to adapt in the situation wherever you are. So if you think this game is over in a few seconds or a few minutes, 1 or 2, take the Fell Blade. No question about that. It's incredibly good stats. But if it goes longer, you might want to avoid the Fell Blade because it will fill up your inventory. Okay, so I thought, okay, Wound Splitter and Demon Fang did not work up here. Maybe it works now because default items, default components in these things are pretty good, power and attack speed, and we have even more power than in this situation, so it should be more effective. But the results are still shit. Yeah, it's just terrible. They actually have almost the same values. Demon Fang is a little bit worse actually. However, a lot cheaper obviously. The problem of the Wound Splitter is it's expensive as hell. It's way too expensive. And in a build like that, in an attack damage, attack speed build for Vermilion or Rook, that's a decent item. But in this build for Vex, no. Don't think about it. So ignore these. For the funs or for the lulz, I decided let's do the other ones as well. I probably go Pyro Staff for Fall Blade, but let's do the other ones as well. And I looked at the power conduit, and yeah, I was right. Still bad. Grimoire, same problem. Still bad. You could argue Grimoire gets a little bit better if you have a lot of tanky enemies you want to take down, but most of the time your target is the carry, and the carry doesn't have that much magic armor, so kinda meh. Mystic Dagger, I think that one was not totally terrible. Yeah, okay, no, yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, never mind, it sucks. Don't get these in this situation, it doesn't help at all. And then I looked at the Diadem, and oops, that was impressive. The default components of the Diadem are mana and mana. And the Diadem gives power per mana, which results in 49.65 additional power, which is less than this one, obviously, because we crafted this one with power. But the power from the passive is going up like 10 points, which results in a really cheap item. This is actually way more cheap than... Did I calculate that correct? Let's really check that because this looks really, really cheap. Let's take a look. Where's the Diadem? Diadem 1100. Plus the big and the small mana thing. 1170 plus 820. That explains. Yeah, okay, the values were wrong. That probably makes it worse. So, okay, let's take a look. Forget what I said. We take a new look. So the price is actually 3,900. That was way too low. I have probably forgot the price of the medium mana thing or something, or of the recipe. Still gives a decent amount of power. So let's take a look. In the single target damage over 3 seconds, we are at 0.11, which is worse than the Pyro Staff, obviously. A little bit worse than the Fell Blade. AoE, however, we are a little bit worse than the Fell Blade, way better than the Pyro Staff. Single target damage over 6 seconds, a little bit worse than the Fell Blade, and even worse than the Pyro Staff, but that's not much. That's not much. And we have 3 times the AoE damage. So, okay. Okay, this changed a little bit. It's not so... Okay, I was going to say that Diadem is the item you want in this situation. I have to correct that now. So, I think you have to adapt. You have basically 3 choices. Three choices. 3 choices. Okay, choice number 1. Go for the Pyro Staff. Oh no, let's take it different. Choice number 1. If you think the game is over in like 1 or 2 minutes, take the Fell Blade, as said, because really, really good value per gold. If you think the game goes a little bit longer, you have 2 choices. Choice 2 or 1 of these 2. Choice 2A is you go for a Pyro Staff. You really need that single target damage. You want to nuke someone down. Go for a Pyro Staff. Okay. Option 3 or 2B. You need a little bit more AoE. AoE is better because they have like multiple carries and you go in there every time, and AoE is like really good. Take the Diadem because it has decent values for the AoE damage. It's a little bit worse than the Pyro Staff in a single target, but in AoE it's really, really good. Really decent stats. I mean, it cannot compare with the felt plate, but the felt plate is so cheap that it will fill up your inventory. So we had, in comparison to the Pyro Staff, Diadem is way better for AoE, Pyro Staff way better for single target, obviously. If you can go cheap, go to felt plate. So, but I'm repeating myself, I think you got the point. If you have any questions about that, about any formula I used or anything, feel free to ask. Best way to do that is YouTube comment section. And yeah, I will probably do more of this when I play other heroes and try to find out which items I want to build on them. So thanks a lot for watching, have fun, and see you next time.